Time's up. Let's do this.
Hello and very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's 1:20 p.m. here. I know we're a little bit late, but that's because we have a bit of a technical issue. I hope everything is okay so far, but that's it. Well, it's like, you know, this is the Legends tournament, guys. The best in Southeast Asia are going to be playing off against each other, which is what makes it fantastic as well as fun. Now, that said, I actually have with me a very special caster. That's Katips. Katips, how are you doing, man? Yeah, we are not going to be seeing plate quarter cards. Because, you know, some of the players are not able to access that, so that's a bit of a sad news for us all. But even then, you know, at least we will see some form of Naxxramas, you can say interaction here. And I'm just excited to see the Nerubian eggs, you know, being played and coming into play by most of these Zoolock decks. That's perfectly fun, I think.
Yeah, Haunted Creeper and Nerubian Eggs are making a great appearance in the meta since the first wing came out, and unfortunately we won't be seeing Loatheb. He was a big kind of meta changer this week when he came out for the second wing and Plague Wing. But as you said, since Blizzard is having issues with the unlocking of the quarter for a lot of players, we are not using them for this tournament. But we are seeing last week's meta very exciting. A lot of use of the Nerubian Egg, a lot of use of the Haunted Creeper, the new Spider. And yeah, possibly we might even see an appearance of Maexna, the legendary that you get from the first wing. So very exciting. I'm expecting a lot of Warlocks today, to be honest, because just the way it plays well with Nerubian Egg and Haunted Creeper. It's probably a lot of Warlocks today. So we're going right into this first game. Aaron versus iambiscuit.
Yeah, iambiscuit is from Malaysia, Aaron is from Singapore, so we're going to see a Warlock mirror matchup straight up. But this is something that looks like a Handlock versus Zoo deck, and we're already into turn 3 here for Aaron. Aaron, you know, he does have double Molten Giant. That's not fantastic, but at least if it does drop low enough, and that's the purpose of the Zoo, you know, he can play those Molten Giants and taunt them up.
Yep, that's right. So unfortunately, yeah, that's a bit of an unfortunate hand for him. He would have wanted some Mountain Giant or a Twilight Drake in his hand early on versus Zoo. But that said, you don't really play your early handlock game against Zoo because it's a little bit fast. You kind of want your Watchers instead. You want your Sun Fury Protector just to be able to stop the early onslaught of a Zoo, especially now that Zoo has a bit of a slightly tougher minions now that they have the egg and now that they have the spider. They're a bit more stickier minions. A good example also is this Harvest Golem on screen right now that iambiscuit is playing. So it's going to be a trick for Aaron now to survive into his later turns when he can play his Molten Giants and possibly clear the board with that Shadow Flame in his hand. So yeah, let's see how iambiscuit will choose to play his next few turns. Let's see if he can build up some aggression and try and overwhelm Aaron with his one remaining 4/1 Ancient Watcher.
Yeah, well, he does have a Doomguard in hand as well as a Soulfire, so that's, you know, at least can provide some form of aggro here. But the Handlock looks to be in a very good spot with Senjin Shieldmaster as well. Well, I am expecting Senjin to be a bit of an old school thing because now with Plate Quarter out, most of the Handlock do bring the Sludge Bletcher in.
Yeah, that's
it's a fantastic 3/5 taunt. Spawns another taunt. What an irritating guy. But of course, we're not going to see that because this tournament, just to keep it fair, most of the players here do not have access to Plate Quarter. That's why we are not going to have them to use that.
Yep, so we're still going back to our classic value Senjin Shieldmaster. I mean, he's still good. He's still a 5 to cast 3/5. That's nothing to sneeze at. Although that, like you said, the Sludge Belcher is a bit more value. It's a bit more stickier minion. But still, Aaron is still using his hand. Sorry, he was a 4 to cast. Aaron's still using his hand to full effect. And now, iambiscuit now with the Nerubian Egg in play. Let's see how Aaron decides to clear this board. So unfortunately, he doesn't have enough mana to activate anything yet. He's going to have to wait a little bit more time. He needs one more turn to drop an Ancient Watcher into Defender of Argus, and then he can start building up a better defense.
Yep, definitely. And we're looking at no Mountain Giant just yet. We're also looking at no Twilight Drake yet for Aaron, and both of which are good cards. Now, the Nerubian Egg effectively is just an anti-bot clear, because the moment you clear Nerubian Egg, it's going to spawn a 4-4. Everyone knows that. So, unless you have a real way to deal with it, you don't want to clear that out. And that is why it works so well in Zoo, because Zoo is generally afraid of bot clear. If you have double bot clear, Zoo is kind of like completely out of steam.
That's right.
And they will lose the early game as well. So that's it. Now it's already turn 6 plus, and we're looking at iambiscuit actually dropping to 18 health as compared to the handlock just at about 24.
Yeah, that's right. So despite Aaron not having the full board control, iambiscuit has been tapping like crazy. He is now down to 18 health, but he is a little bit more confident now with the Nerubian Egg, activating it with the Direwolf. So Aaron now has to think about, will he start using his Shadow Flame to clear the board and face a potential 4-4 that he can't stop. But we are now in turn 6. He drew into a very nice Soulfire. He can drop an Ancient Watcher into Defender of Argus and then clear out one of possibly maybe the Knife Juggler with a Soulfire. He's still a bit mana away from putting down Molten Giants, so he's in a bit of a tricky situation still right now. So he could possibly clear something with Ancient Watcher into Shadow Flame, but that still leaves him with a 4-4 to deal with. He could possibly Soulfire it also, actually. But let's see if he decides to put down a defensive maneuver with Defender of Argus, if he tries to Soulfire the Nerubian after he does a Shadow Flame. So it looks like he's going for that play now.
Yeah, and that looks pretty okay so far. Do note this is the first game of a BO5, and we are a little bit late, but it's still okay. Round 1 and 2 are going to run simultaneously, and we will have Aaron versus iambiscuit being on stream for this game here. So the Nerubian Egg activates itself. There's a 4-4. He draws a Voidwalker, also has another Nerubian Egg in the hand there. And I think he would like to save the Abusive Sergeant just to proc the other Nerubian Egg. Would be pretty good stuff here. He can try and go a little bit aggro, but you gotta have to be really careful because there's double Molten Giant in the hand there for Aaron, like I said. And they can really come out very easily the moment he dropped to something below 15. The sweet spot right now is at about 15 health, and not anything lower than that. He also has got double Soulfire for iambiscuit, so a lot of this card's gonna happen there. And if it's all the wrong cards that hit this card, he's not gonna have the burst he wants to take down this handlock.
Yeah, that's right. Like you said, if both Molten Giants come into play and they get activated with Defender of Argus, that is very, very difficult for Zoo to get past, because you are going to waste a lot of cards trying to take down the 9/9. So it is kind of a crucial point right now. Aaron has dropped to 15 health. That brings his Molten Giant down to 5. So next turn he can start putting down. If he takes damage this turn, iambiscuit has to be very aware that if he drops Aaron down to 11. That's going to give him a lot more value for his Molten Giants. He should be predicting that no Giants have come into play, no Twilight Drakes have come into play, so there is still a lot of threats that are going to come in the later turns. And he has to be very careful to play around the life total of Aaron.
Yeah, needs to be very careful, that's right. So, now it's Aaron at about 15 health. He does have the ability to play one Molten Giant, and he's just going to go ahead with that. He does have double taunt providing minions there, double DOAs, Defender of Argus. So he's going to Soulfire, and discards the other Soulfire.
Oh man, that is very unfortunate. He could have used that much later on for the Nerubian Egg hatching. So that is a bit of an unfortunate result from the Soulfire, but he does draw into Sylvanas, so that could still turn the... If he activates his second Molten Giant with Sylvanas and a taunt, that is going to give him a huge board presence, because Sylvanas is now going to act as a board clearer herself. Even if you clear her out, she steals one of your minions, and iambiscuit has to think about when he will play. He has to strategically play his Doomguard now, so he gets maximum value and still get past the taunts of Aaron, while still keeping him at a health that's above, where he can activate his Molten Giants for free.
Yep, exactly, and that's very challenging here for the Zoo, because, you know, really the Zoo wants to zug down the opponent, but he doesn't really have the space for that here. He will play Power Overwhelming just to activate the egg here, and will also play Doomguard. I am hoping that he doesn't discard the Soulfires. Alright, discard one,
okay,
that's good, that's not a big deal, it's game here, so Soulfire is going to end this game here for iambiscuit, and Aaron will be down by 1 game.
So now we see the new Naxx Zoo that everybody is complaining about in the letter, pretty much. Seeing it in action right now, although it has to be said, Aaron has played his first threat on turn 7. Oh, sorry, on turn 6 with the first Molten Giant. So if he managed to put down more of his Ancient Watchers, if he managed to get a Twilight Drake down and activate it with Sunfear Protector, which he did not draw into, he could have put up a more formidable defense against iambiscuit. But unfortunately, he drew into both Molten Giants, none of his other early game threats, and he only drew into one Soulfire. Maybe a Hellfire could have helped him a little bit more there. If he drew into a cheaper activator like a Sunfury Protector, he could have stopped something like the Doomguard. But yeah, that was pretty unfortunate for Aaron.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting here because the rules of this tournament is very simple. It's called the Legends, and effectively the winner will have to play the same class, but not necessarily the same deck. And the loser will have to change class for sure. So we will see a Warlock versus something else. And it could be a Handlock, it could be a Zoo. I'm thinking he's still going to stick with the Zoo because the Nerubian Zoo is just so good right now in this current Zoo meta for the, this Nerubian meta for the Zoo.
The Nerubian meta. Lots and lots of spiders.
Yeah, and I'm right, he's still going to stay with that. No, actually, he's going to change to a Handlock. Wow. Okay.
Interesting. So that's a good... Given the rules of the tournament, that's a pretty good strategy to keep your opponent on your toes. If you switch from aggro to suddenly a more defensive stance, it might throw him off depending on his selection. So, but iambiscuit did not know that Aaron is going to be choosing a Shaman who is running a Nerubian Egg. That's pretty interesting. So you can activate Nerubian Egg with Rockbiter Weapon. You can activate it with Flame Tongue Totem. So that's a good use of the Nerubian Egg, and you still get a 4/4 afterwards, even if you use it to swing at your opponent's minions.
Which is fantastic because he's now deciding whether he wants to keep the Unbound or not. My feeling is that he should let it go.
I think he should let it go.
Seeing how he doesn't really have an optimal turn 3 or turn 4 play. He's going to play Nerubian Egg for the first 2 turns here. So definitely just let it go there. But if he does let it go and he draws in the Feral Spirit a little bit later, it might be a bit of a counter-intuition play there for him.
That's right.
On the flip side, it does seem pretty clear that iambiscuit playing the Handlock is going to go for the Silence Watcher play, which is pretty clear, a very strong message to Aaron that this is a Handlock.
That's right, and Aaron very fortunately drawing into a decent turn 3 play, so that keeping his Unbound Elemental works out for him since he drew a top deck into Feral Spirit, which is going to give him a fantastic turn 3 play. So if iambiscuit is going to go into a Silenced Watcher play, Aaron is going to be able to put up a decent defense until he can put down his Nerubian Egg and start swinging at iambiscuit's face.
Yeah, fantastic. So like I said there, if he gives up the Unbound, draws in the Feral Spirit, he's going to be so sad. But no, okay, it's good. At least he kept that. He's going to play Nerubian Egg here for sure. You can bet that the Ancient Watcher, even if iambiscuit weaponizes the Ancient Watcher, it's not going to go for the Nerubian Egg. It's no way it's going to do that. So that's a safe play here. It's not going to get damaged. Not this turn. But he might get silenced though. The thing is, does iambiscuit want to weaponize his Ancient Watcher, or does he want to prevent the 4/4 from spawning?
Yeah, that's right. The Nerubian Egg is such a strong turn 2 play. It makes people start changing the original plans. Like if originally you just wanted to weaponize your Ancient Watcher, now you have to think about, what am I gonna do against a 0/2 now? Possibly weaponized with Flame Tongue Totem and or Rockbiter Weapon, and then having to do with another 4/4 later. Then that's a Soulfire. That's a pretty critical card you can use as a removal up until you set up your defenses as a Handlock. So it is a bit of a interesting counterplay to a Handlock because now he has to start think about how he uses his removals. Because even let's say for example you play a mid-game Nerubian Egg and then he uses Siphon Soul against it, you're still gonna be dealing with a 4/4 and you're still gonna spend 2 cards against the Nerubian 1/1.
He's just gonna tap there.
Yep. Interesting. So he didn't go for any of the other plays.
He went for Plan C there, yeah.
Yeah. Plan C, just wait it out.
Just wait it out. Now, the thing about tapping is that you let your opponent know that either you have a Twilight Drake or a Mountain Giant, or you're looking for them. So it's more like the fact that I didn't play the Silence would have been a pretty interesting read here. Aaron might get confused by that because normally, as a Handlock, you want to play the Ancient Watcher when you know you have got Silence or something like a Taunt Providing Minion, both of which he does have in his hand there. So just saying that it's like, okay, there we go. So the Owl comes out right now and he weaponizes the 4/5 just to kill the 2/4. And this is actually pretty good mind games by iambiscuit because the moment he does that, you see he doesn't play Silence. Aaron will play the Unbound and Unbound dies as a result. So it's pretty clear that that is actually a fantastic mind game play there by iambiscuit.
Yep. So
just
Aaron probably was expecting, since he saw the Ancient Watcher, he was probably expecting one of the plays we were expecting as well. Either going to be an early Silenced Watcher, or he's going to get he's going to put down a defense against it. So now he's going to go into a strong turn 4 play by cracking his Nerubian Egg for his 4/4 and dropping Feral Spirit. So iambiscuit now has to think about, that's a lot of damage on the board. That's 8 damage on the board every turn until he starts to get past those 2/3s. And he just used his first, possibly his only owl against the Ancient Watcher. So let's see what iambiscuit is going to play. What's his hand looking at right now?
Yeah, he does have the Sunfury Protector, Twilight Drake, which he's just going to drop right now. It's a bit sad news here because Twilight Drake will get instantaneously answer by the Earthshock here. And really, it's still good, and things are just looking so good for Aaron right now because iambiscuit, yeah, he doesn't have any synergy so far, and Aaron is slowly building up tempo. That's exactly what you want to do as the Shaman in this game here. Build up tempo, have double Feral Doggies there. Even if there is a Hellfire, it's not going to wipe out the 4/4. Plus the fact he just top totem a healing totem. So if there is no threat coming out here from iambiscuit, you know, this is just going to snowball into a perfect situation for Aaron. And he's not afraid of any giants because he can just trade.
That's right, that's right. So, and iambiscuit is still a bit of a ways where he can put down a big threat and then Defender of Argosit or put Sunfury Protector on it. So even if he, and we all know that Shaman has the most removals in the game, a lot of value removals with Hex and Lightning Storm. So he draws into his second Nerubian Egg. Let's see if he decides to play this just to have some sort of defense against Hellfire and make iambiscuit think, because we now have 8 damage on the board. It's going to drop iambiscuit down to 12. And potentially in range of some value of Molten Giants next turn. So let's see what he decides to play with. So okay, so he's going to put down, it looks like he's going to be putting down Nerubian Egg as a defense.
Yeah, anti-bot clear, best situation.
Anti-bot clear.
Yeah, best situation here for Aaron because as a handlock, you know that they normally run either the Soulfire, sorry, not Soulfire, Hellfire, or the what's the other card?
Shadow.
Yeah, Shadow Flame, that's right. Sorry, loss of words there. So it's either the Shadow Flame or the Hellfire. And Hellfire here is not going to be good enough to pick up the 4/4. And the Shadow Flame, however, is going to be good enough. So I would go for anti-ball clear for sure. And in fact, I would taunt up the egg if I can. But he's just going to taunt up the existing minions. And it's actually going to try and address the 4/5. Okay, so now if there's a Hellfire, everything goes except for the 2/4. He can still play the egg though. And that's at least going to renew the Nerubian there.
Yep, so just in case iambiscuit is thinking about Mortal Coiling the 5/1, nope, you're not going to get a lot of value out of that because I have my second egg in play and still a lot of threats. Let's remind everybody, Aaron is not in his end game yet, and he is dominating the board right now with his mid-range minions. Look at the value he got from his Feral Spirit on turn 4. Now he has a full board of controlled minions. And even if iambiscuit manages to put something down, there is a chance for Aaron with his cards in hand to draw into a Hex. So he could still get past his iambiscuit's defense. Okay,
it's so sad for iambiscuit because it's at turn 6 right now, and he has got the Mountain Giant in the hand there. So that's like 5 plus Sunfury, that's 7. You know, it would be a pretty good play, but he decides to heal up, which is good. So now he's at 18 health. Now, if you play Siphon Soul, it's kind of clear that you don't have the Molten Giant. Because normally if you don't play, normally if you add 15 health and you're like, yeah, I just need a little bit more to reach my Molten Giant, you will not heal up just yet. But I think that it's still okay in this instance because he was severely being threatened by a potential lethal there. If Aaron top decks something like a Lightning Bolt, you know, that's gonna be it for this game. So he needs to play it safe, which is the correct play here. He still doesn't have the board clear mechanic, and it's at this point in time that I'm starting to wonder if iambiscuit actually runs Hellfire in his deck, or does he even run Shadow Flame? He should at least run one of those, right?
Yep. Shadow Flame and Hellfire, that's a bit of a debate I've been seeing with handlocks on how many they carry. Some of them carry 2 Hellfires and one Shadow Flame, but I think some of them are moving now into 2 Shadow Flames and 1 Hellfire, specifically because of Nerubian Egg. Because if you start using Hellfire willy-nilly and you start clearing out the early game, the Nerubian Eggs, that's just not enough value because you're still leaving a 4/4 on the board, as we've seen today. So now he's going to be, iambiscuit is going to be dropping his first Mountain Giant and defending it with Sunfury Protector. Unfortunately, Aaron hasn't drawn, even with using his first Azure Drake, he hasn't drawn into any of his hexes yet. So, Flame Tongue Totem, that's pretty interesting. He can weaponize his Nerubian Egg and start clearing out that 8/8. What do you think, Babael? What do you think his best play is here right now?
I would put the Flame Tongue right in the middle between the Defender Argus and the 3/4. just so that one deals 5, the other deals 4, and it's enough to pick off the Mountain Giant.
That's right.
But he is in a pretty, debatable situation because as Aaron, you don't want to drop your opponent's health to below 14. This is the sweet spot here. And assuming he doesn't have assuming he has Molten Giant, of course. That's why in the previous one you see he didn't attack with the 3-4 because he knows that it's just too risky to play that way. You will actually, just taunt up your opponent a little bit more. And now he's got a full board, so he cannot play the Flame Tongue. And oh my god, what a mistake it is there.
No. Oh man, I think he was hoping to draw into a Hex with that second Azure Drake, and he forgets that he has a full board with those 2 totems at the end, so he's now probably going to have to clear this without getting a lot of value. He might be wasting his second Feral Spirit. He does have a second Feral Spirit in hand, but...
Nah, he's going to waste the egg.
Oh man, that's a bit of an unfortunate display for him.
Yeah, so the difference between this and the original intended play that I said was that he actually loses the egg. So now his board is somewhat susceptible to board wipe and control, but as we can see here, iambiscuit still doesn't have that. He has only got the Sun Walker, which is going to buy him some time. And he gets Shadow Flame, so yes, finally, one comes up. But is it a little bit too late?
But one crucial thing here is the egg is already popped. So a value 4/4, or a value of Molten Giant or a value Second Watcher into Shadow Flame is going to clear Aaron's entire board. So putting down a Sunwalker is a bit of a good play. It's going to buy him some time to get into a minion that's a little bit more affordable for Shadow Flame. You generally don't want to use all of your Mountain Giants as fodder for Shadow Flame, just to make sure that there are the final, they're the finishing blows in a handlock deck. So you generally want to spend your Shadow Flames on something a little bit more affordable, maybe like an Ancient Watcher, or maybe Sunfury Protector if this survives. The Sunwalker if it survives, or something else that has 4 health and is able to clear the entire board, 4 attack rather, that's able to clear the entire board of Aaron, yeah.
The Sunwalker is not going to survive.
Yeah, unfortunately.
There is no way Aaron's going to let the Sunwalker stay.
iambiscuit sent that cow to the slaughter.
Sorry. I'd like to point out that because iambiscuit used 2 of his Ancient Watcher already, he effectively doesn't have another minion that has got 4 damage that can Shadow Flame nicely. So therefore, he cannot really kill the 4/4 and the other 4/4. He can, however, play Leroy Jenkins, deal 6 damage and Shadow Flame just to board wipe there, and that will give him some form of good tempo, but he doesn't have anything that can help him keep the board in his favor. So that is the main issue here that iambiscuit is facing. And as we speak here, we are actually looking at something that looks like lethal. So Aaron's gonna have this game in the bag.
So that was a fantastic mid-range play with the Shaman deck with Aaron. Nerubian Egg, my gosh, it's been crucial for these first 2 games. Nerubian Egg changing up the early game, changing up the way you play your board clears. You have to think about every time that 0/2 is on the board, do you waste a silence on it? Do you waste a removal on it? And then having to deal with a 4/4 right after. That is such a good tempo early gameplay.
Yeah.
And as we see right here, even with Aaron not drawing into any of his hexes, not drawing into any of his lightning storms, he still got a lot of value from his early game with the Nerubian Egg and his Feral Spirits.
Yep, so here we go. Mulligan stage for the game, for the 3rd game here, and we're looking at Aaron. By the way, Aaron's taking the bottom half of this board as well as iambiscuit's taking the top half there. So we have a pretty interesting situation here. It is going to be a Shaman Mirror matchup. Both of them actually like playing Mirror.
Yep, so originally we were seeing Warlock versus Warlock, now we're seeing Shaman.
Oh, actually, no, it's Rogue. Yeah, I'm sorry, my bad. So I was looking at Aaron's screen. Okay, so it's a Rogue.
Rogue at that.
Yeah, Golden Valera. Okay, so this one here looks like it's the good old Miracle Rogue. Because they are not allowed to play quarter cuts, so no Lothap, and because of the absence of Lothap, Miracle Rogue is still kind of viable. But even then, people have been saying that Lothap's kind of like a hard counter against Miracle Rogue. I don't see it that way because you need to draw that card in 6 out of 30, and that's like 1 card chance, so it's not high at all.
And I think it was Colento who was saying that, Colento, one of the top Rogue players, he said that Lothab actually works in the favor of Miracle Rogue. If Rogue is running is running Lothab and he drops him on turn 5, then that stops the removal and then let's say you're able to conceal it. You can also use Shadow Step against with Lothab and then stop your opponent completely. So for example, you drop a turn 5 Lothab, you can that activates his battle cry of the spells of your opponent next turn. you can actually shadow step him next turn and then stop him for a few more turns. That's pretty bad against something like a freeze mage or something like something with a lot of spells like a druid. So yeah. So anyway, back to the game. Aaron now with a decent curve for his opening hand. Unfortunately, he doesn't have very many minions, so he's going to go with a turn 3 Feral Spirit play. How is the hand of iambiscuit looking for you?
Well, he does have a Gadgets and Auctioneer. He definitely needs to conceal here, but he doesn't have the coin, so it's still okay. I think that he is like at turn 4, and he doesn't really have a good turn 5 play, but he does run the Azure Drake here, so that's pretty interesting for Miracle Rogue.
Okay, so iambiscuit chooses to use his Deadly Poison on his first charge, and Aaron still doesn't have any minions on the board, so he is now locked into a very limited set of plays. He can choose to play his Flame Tongue Totem to give his remaining doggy up to 4/3 for some 4 damage, but it's pretty unfortunate that he doesn't. He's a bit locked out until he goes into turn 6 with the Fire Elemental.
Yeah, well, that's because he doesn't have a good hand. But of course, I would play the Flame Tongue here, seeing how that the rogue doesn't really have any answer that can really pick it off there, unless he plays SI Agent and Backstab, which is kind of possible. There is a Backstab in the hand here for iambiscuit, but there is still no SI Agent, so that's gonna deal 4 damage. And if he runs the weapon, and he gets the Conceal, so yep, that is gonna be a pretty good game here for iambiscuit over the next few turns. He's gonna play Gadget Sun, Conceal, and that's gonna start the Miracle combo. He does have Preparation as well, and the Cold Blood, so that's a lot of spells he could really use there as well. And now he's gonna address the Flame Tongue because of the extra damage that that Azure Drake gives for the spell damage for the backstab, so that will kill the Pharaoh Doggy without taking 4 extra damage.
Yep, I really like that play from iambiscuit, putting down the +1 spell damage Azure Drake to be able to get a lot more value from his backstab and stop the 2/3, and use his second charge from Deadly Poison to kill off the Flame Tongue. So he's managed to clear his entire board, put a 4/4 in play, and still have his combo into Miracle for the next few turns with Conceal. So iambiscuit in a pretty good position right now.
Yep, pretty good stuff there. So, here we have a pretty interesting play because you can tell that iambiscuit side, they really don't have much option, I feel. As in for Aaron don't really have much option here. He can only totem and effectively just pass. He also hexes up the well, that's a bit of a waste there though, because here comes the real thing that you might want to hex.
Yeah, that's right.
There. I will not Cold Blood here. I will actually Conceal, but he does have Preparation, so he might want to. Okay, he's gonna Preparation first, and he's gonna see what he draws. He draws a Blade Flurry. That's completely useless. He's gonna Cold Blood the frog there, and then he will still have. He draws in the Daily Poison, which is good, but doesn't have a dagger right now, so he's gonna Conceal both the frog and the other 4/4 there. So that's good stuff. Draws into SI Agent, so that's where the miracle starts.
And we get a friendly tip from the Innkeeper right now. Well, while a minion is stealth, it cannot be targeted. Thank you, Innkeeper. So now it is Aaron's turn. Taunt, of course, will not be activated while a minion is stealth, so Aaron has a clear path towards the face of iambiscuit. But he is not drawing into any of his mid-range minions. He is in 6 mana. He has 6 mana to play the Fire Elemental, but he has no targets with Conceal. So he's probably debating whether or not to put down 6 and deal 3 damage to iambiscuit's face. It's going to drop him to 19. But he has to be aware that with Gadgets and Auctioneer in play, iambiscuit is basically, it's just a waiting game right now. Just trying to draw into Leroy, trying to draw into another Cold Blood possibly, or trying to get into Shadow Step for Leroy. So he's just not going to waste any mana. He's going to put down his Fire Elemental and deal 3 damage to iambiscuit's face and attack his Flame Totem. So now it is iambiscuit's turn. The Gadgets and Auctioneer has been revealed. He has 7 cards in hand. How are the spells looking for him? Does he have his combo yet for the Miracle?
No, I don't think he has got that. So he does have Sap, which he's gonna use here and draw into extra card again. Draws into another Sap, so that's pretty convenient. He might want to play the SI Agent to kill the. I think it's a bit of a waste, but yeah, you can still use it to kill the totem there, or just dagger up and kill it. It's still good, but he needs to know that he is exposing his Gadget Sun for 1/3. And Fire Elemental is going to make sure that it's going to die. So, effectively, what I would do here is I would love if I can draw another Sap. Oh, sorry, not another Conceal, but it doesn't have the mechanic for that. So, effectively, Gadget Sun will die here. Or might get Silence, in fact, and that's already pretty devastating. We'll see what Aaron decides to do, but he does draw into Doomhammer, so that's some form of a combo there.
Yeah. So, but Doom hammering into the 4/1 is still 4 damage. That's gonna drop him down to 13. Might be a little critical if since there is 8. Sorry, my math is bad. 11 damage on the board and a potential Leroy in the form of the Miracle combo. So Aaron is probably considering putting down another Fire Elemental to take out the 4/1, possibly Earth Shocking the Auctioneer. Let's see what he decides to play with. Okay, so he's going to deal 3 damage to the Auctioneer, and he is going to Earth Shock it to get rid of it. And then he's going to Rock Biter. Okay, so he uses both of his Earth Shocks. I guess it's a pretty good play since you really just want to remove the option of a Gadget and Auctioneer from a Miracle Rogue's options, because having that in play is every turn it's ultimate value for the Rogue. So getting rid of it as early as you can and with as few cards as you can is a good idea for any class playing against Rogue.
Yeah. So, well, right now it seems like there is some form of a combo for iambiscuit, but he doesn't have his Shadow Step just yet. That's the only thing that's missing for him. If not, he could probably run the Leroy combo already, but that's okay. Now, his main issue is that there's a 6/5 on the board that he needs to address. He can sap it away, but that's going to mean that it's going to come back again, and this time around it's going to take out the SI agent as well. So,
that's right.
He can't play another SI agent. Yeah, that's pretty fair because he can't kill 2, right? So, that's some form of a answer, I feel, but he is slowly dropping the health of Aaron, and while healing up his own health, which is fantastic so far. He just needs either a Shadow Step next turn or for 2 of those minions on the board to not die, and it's game. I think he also okay, maybe if he has got just one of the minion on the board that isn't gonna die, he's gonna win this game because there is the Deadly Poison as well, and that's gonna deal like 3 damage. Leroy's gonna deal 6, that's 9. So as long as one of those folks there doesn't die, it's gonna be over. And in fact, he does have Blade Flurry as well, so I think it's game.
Yeah, so Aaron, unfortunately not drawing into any of his Lightning Storms, is
even if the minions die.
Yeah. Okay, so he definitely has to use Fire Elemental to take out one of the 3/3s. He doesn't have enough mana to activate and still be in a good position to have a bit of survivability. Okay, he drew into a Taunt Totem, so I think that's still not going to be enough. At 12 health, with Leroy in play and Blade Flurry, yeah. So here comes the Deadly Poison. It's gonna take out the Stoneclaw Totem, and here we go. Here comes Mr. Jenkins.
Oh wow, it's game over. So that's pretty. Yeah, it's really just pretty simple business here. You know it's over when against a Miracle Rogue. The moment you hit like 12 health, it's kind of over, especially when Leroy's drawn.
There's a timer over your head already, especially with Gadget and Auctioneer already been played, and he drew like what 5 or 6 cards from the single from playing it. It's just it's just a waiting game at that point.
Yeah, it is, and also the funny thing here is that we're looking at the fact that the Rogue had a Blade Flurry as well as Deadly Poison. So either way, even if all the minions die there, the Rogue is still gonna have the game. It's just that sick. The only way you can stop that from happening is a taunt, which is why Rogue, they don't really have the mechanic to deal with taunts. Plus the fact that we did see iambiscuit sap away 2 of the use 2 of his sap against the Fire Elemental, which is actually a bit of a waste, but still it's okay if he's trying to wrestle for bot control, which he did successfully do that. So that's fine. And now it seems like Aaron's gonna play the Druid up against the Rogue, which is a perfect counter in my opinion because of the insane amount of taunts that the Druid can offer. With Druid of the Claw, Mark of the Wild, we're also looking at the big trees there, the 5/10 trees, as well as the 8/8 trees. I'm sure no one runs Ironbark anymore, but if you do, you're one of the rare few as well. Oh, he does have Scenarios, so fantastic. And Sunwalker, so this is basically all taunt providing deck. And he can only lose this game, in theory, if this Rogue is an Aggro Rogue or a Tempo Rogue. If it is a Miracle Rogue, he does have very good stats against it.
Yep, so this looks like a ramp deck with the Sunwalkers, and still packing the Savage Roar Force of Nature combo. But unfortunately, he's not drawing into any of his ramp cards. He didn't draw into his Innervate. He didn't draw into his Wild Growth. He did draw into a number of his late game cards, but unfortunately, That might give iambiscuit just enough window, just enough bandwidth to be able to get Aaron down to a respectable and reachable kill health. But let's see. Once we start going into turn 4 and he can drop Keeper of the Grove, that might put him into a better position.
Yeah, fantastic position to be in there. So we're now looking at Aaron playing as a druid up against iambiscuit on the rogue at the top half of this board. You can see the hand on the left and right side respectively. And Fan of Knives here effectively just going to be a bit of a draw mechanic if he does do that. He's actually going to shift. Shift's a lot better, man. Come on. You're going to have to agree because shift is just a little bit cheaper, draws 1 card as well. For Fan of Knives, you normally want to use it to board clear. But of course, we're playing against a druid. The druid, who are we kidding? They don't really have small minions. That's why he's been passing for the past few turns. And really just hero power pass. And he draws in the Keep of the Grove here. The only problem with this particular hand that Aaron has is that Keep of the Grove, you don't really want to use the 2 damage Moonfire on the face there, right?
Yep. He can coin into Druid of the Claw, and that's going to be just a choice between putting it into aggro mode in 4/4 with charge, or is he going to keep it as a 4/6 taunter? So either way, I think that's his best option right now because he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 8 cards in hand remaining. So he chooses to place Keeper of the Grove to put 2 damage on iambiscuit's face. So let's see what iambiscuit is going to play next.
Yep, pretty good stuff there. So we are going to see, I don't know, he doesn't have a good hand here. He doesn't have to conceal. He does have the sap though, and he does have double heal. It's not that bad really, but it's just not perfect. So I would love to see him pick up something that looks like a, I don't know, maybe conceal. Or maybe even if he gets Shadow Step, that's good to at least combo off the gadgets on there. So now it's back to Aaron. What do you think can play here?
I think he's going to play Druid of the Claw or possibly a Sunwalker. I think coining into Sunwalker is a bit of a good play because it's going to force iambiscuit to use a lot of cards or use up his second sap. Oh, sorry. It's gonna cause iambiscuit to deal with it one way or another with a lot of value. So it's a choice between coining into his Sunwalker or using his turn 5 Druid of the Claw now.
Yep.
So it looks like he's going to be playing Bear Form for 4/6 and Taunt. Just trying to stop the 4/4 from doing any damage. And then next turn, for the next few turns, he can start ramping up into his good stuff. The double Sunwalkers, he can go into Ancient of War for turn 7. So a lot of defense is coming up by the way of Aaron in the next few turns.
Yep. So, well, I'm actually going to do a bit of a score update now. And we have Veronica from Singapore winning over Hava. That's for the first round. And he will move on to face Shiny Pants, which is the top player in Southeast Asia. He's also ranked 4, by the way, over the last season. And last season, I mean season 3. And we have Fizda versus Raydrick from Philippines winning right there. So Katips is going to be pretty happy about that one. And we have Lightbringer winning Bitbite from Singapore. Lightbringer from Vietnam. And Kurenai is, he did triumph over Lot Crew, so Kurenai is moving forward as well. Waning Moon unfortunately just lost to Kais there, and Kais is from Malaysia. So we will have also 80YB winning against GG Leo. Wow, that's a big game. It's a 3-0 clean sweep there, and that's one hell of a game. So 80YB, man, he knows what he's doing. And we have Ferox losing to Boy Hakong or something, and that's from Vietnam. So yeah. They're gonna start the next round in the background while we're streaming this match. So back to this game here, and effectively now I'm pretty sure it's gonna be Sunwalker. There's nothing else that he could probably play here. He did play the Druid of the Claw, but that got set back. And there is a backstab though that's gonna provide free Divine Shield popping mechanic here for iambiscuit. He's also gonna play the Gadget Sun. He might wanna backstab. Hopefully he draws into preparation. At least that's gonna provide Eviscerate, which is still good. You see, Eviscerate's gonna deal 5. That's gonna kill the Sunwalker flat out.
That is still pretty good. That is a pretty good top deck for iambiscuit, dealing with a 4/5 pretty easily, taking his remaining 7 damage and throwing it into Aaron's face. Aaron with a full card in hand. Imagine if iambiscuit had a Cold Light Oracle, he could start milling Aaron's hand and just stopping him from drawing into any more of his options. He has to be aware that iambiscuit has only used a single sap, so there's a potential for a second sap if he drops any of his taunters now. And let's see what he chooses to play with. So he does still have the Druid of the Claw back in his hand. He can play another Sunwalker. So How are you feeling? That's a lot of damage on the board. That's 11 damage on the board. How are you feeling? What Aaron should be playing next?
Aaron needs a taunt, that's for sure. Yes, his taunts keeps getting addressed here. He can play the Force of Nature, but Force of Nature really is just gonna kill one minion. That's about it. He can also rough the other one down. No, he doesn't have rough. Sorry, because that's like not enough mana. But he can coin that, so at least he can kill 2 minions. That's the good news here for Aaron. The bad news is, however, that he's gonna have to make a tough call. If he plays the taunt, he cannot address the Gadget Sun, which is what he really wants. And I think he's just gonna Force of Nature Wrath here, which is okay, which is pretty fair. So it's gonna kill the Gadget Sun as well as the 4/4. I'm assuming, yeah, he will not Wrath the 3/3 there. All right, so there we go. It's gonna kill the Azure Drake, and at least this means that what this means is a few things. First of all, the fact that he can blow a Force of Nature so quickly means that he does have a second Force of Nature in his deck, as well as the fact that normally you would expect your opponent to have 2 Force of Nature, especially when he's got so much cards in the hand there. Effectively, you're trying to tell your opponent you don't have much of an answer, but he does have a lot of taunts there, so that's the good news here for Aaron. Also, we're looking at iambiscuit using up most of his saps already. If I'm not wrong, he used one. Not sure if he used the second one already. Do you recall? I actually don't recall, but yeah, like you said, a lot of in Aaron's hand is a lot of options for taunting into the late game. So it's going to be a race now between how many taunts Aaron can put down in the next few turns and still survive, and how much removal iambiscuit has to see if he can deal with all of the taunting options from Aaron, enough to be able to get his Leroy past the health of Aaron, which is now down to 13. So as you said from the last game, 12 is a dangerous 14 and below is a dangerous health to be when fighting against Merkle Rogue. So Aaron decides to play. Oh no, he doesn't. Okay, thought about it. 5/10. It could be potentially devastating for iambiscuit. I would go for that. Well, here's my explanation. If he plays the Sunwalker with the Divine Shield, it can always get countered by Fan of Knives, which really doesn't mean anything. But a 5/10 is a solid 5/10 here, unless he gets a sap or something. There is no way iambiscuit can handle this. So he gets preparation, and yeah, but he doesn't get his son to pull off the miracle, so that's pretty scary here. He can't deal with the 5/9. Don't doubt about that. He can kill it off, but he's gonna expend both his minions as well as the SI agent. That's a lot of deal there. And effectively, now that Fan of Knives has been used, he might want to play Sunwalker next, and that's pretty big.
He can also play Scenarios next for two taunters just to stop any sort of business, and he knows that iambiscuit has already used his Fan of Knives, and you don't generally run 2 of those in a Miracle Rogue deck. So removal might be slim in terms of... Okay, so he managed to remove the Ancient of War without spending his Van Cleef and his Farseer. So let's see what sort of defense he puts up next. He is down to 6 health, so he has to be very aware that if he plays Scenarios, they're gonna get past him and potentially blow out with a Leroy next turn. If he puts a Sunwalker down, that might be a bit more value. He can play a Druid of the Claw. Oh, he could have had 2 mana. He needed 1 more mana to play Druid of the Claw and then Mirror Image it.
Yeah.
Faceless Manipulator it. Unfortunate. He's 1 mana away from putting up that sort of defense. 6 health is a little bit of a dangerous place.
Even if he heals up here, he is gonna die. So
yeah.
That's the sad news. iambiscuit might be looking to end this series with a 3-1. Do note it's a single elimination tournament, so Aaron might be out of this one already. He might want to play the Sunwalker, or Druid of the Claw, both of which are pretty viable plays. I think he can try and nerf down the damage on Edwin, but that's really pathetic. You can try and nerf it down with a bit of a silence, but I'm not sure how that's going to be like.
Yep. So things looking pretty grim for Aaron, and there was a question in the chat if they can use the next cards. They are allowed to use the Arachnid Quarter card, so that's your Nerubian Egg, that's your Haunted Creeper and Nerub R Weblord, as well as Myexna as the legendary. They are not allowed to play the Plague Wing cards because of the issues that Blizzard has been having for unlocking it for a lot of players. So you will not see Loatheb in this tournament. So players are restricted to the first week, the Arachnid Quarter cards.
Yeah, Sludge Betcher as well. I'm actually going to show the cards that are banned in this tournament. I never actually thought that I'm going to have the chance to say they're banned, but they are. So if you have them, you can't use them. So here comes the Silence on Van Cleef. I was talking about this a little bit earlier because I thought that would actually be pretty good, but it doesn't really make much of a difference because Blade Flurry wins games. So that's it. We will have iambiscuit moving on here, and that's it. So this is a 3-1 simple victory here for the player from Malaysia over Aaron from Singapore. And I guess any hindsights into the play there previously?
Well, Miracle Rogue is as strong as ever, especially with no Loa Theft, to see if it can shake up the Miracle Rogue beta. Miracle Rogue is still really strong, as we saw in the last 2 games. Did very well for iambiscuit and dispatched very strong decks. These are not decks that are inconsistent or anything. That was a mid-range shaman, that was a ramp druid, that was a handlock, and iambiscuit showing why Miracle Rogue is still pretty strong in this beta.
Yeah, pretty crazy and insane stuff there. That said, iambiscuit will move on to face the winner between Shiny Pants and Warunico, which is happening right now as we speak. I'm actually gonna try and see if I can jump into any of those games, so give me a while and we'll see what we can do. That's it. We're going for a little bit of a break as well. We'll be back in just about 5 minutes with timely updates on what we can do for you guys on stream. That's it. You're joined by Babael today, as well as Katips, and I hope you enjoyed the cast. See you guys in a while.